Welcome to the Salea podcast. Today I have a special guest, and he is an artist, a producer, kind of a jack of all trades, I guess you could say. Connor Musarra, welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course, man. It's super good. How are you doing?
Great.
Awesome.
Another day in paradise.
Another day in paradise, man. Hey, as long as we get to make music, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So on this podcast, we kind of just talk about music. We talk about, obviously, like, you're an artist, but you're also more than an artist. Like, you do production, you do engineering, you do kind of everything. And so we can get into details of, like, the technical side of things. We can also just talk about, like, your projects. And I kind of want to get into your project that you kind of just put out, and then the social media game that you've been doing over the last couple of years. Like, it's been really impressive. So, yeah, welcome. Glad to have you on.
Hell yeah. Thanks.
So yeah, man, just to start out, like, take us back to the beginning, like when you first started making music. Like, when was it? Like, when was the beginning? And, like, when did you know for sure that, like, this is something that you wanted to do, like, as a career?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of never even a question for me.
Yeah.
Like, I come from a musical family, so it was kind of, my dad's a drummer, my brother's a drummer, my uncle's a drummer, like, a bunch of musicians. I was just always around it, and my brother is 12 years older than me, and he is also a musician, so
Sure.
he already had a music career when I was literally a child, so, like,
Yeah.
seeing that growing up, it was kind of no question. Like, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to be a musician, and so I was just playing drums, messing around on mostly drums, but eventually, like, messing around on guitar and bass and stuff when I was little. And then but when I was like 9-10 years old, I got obsessed with the idea of making beats, like, really, and rapping and stuff. And that's what, so, like, prior to that, I was a drummer, and I would play a little bit of guitar, and, like, I don't know, the idea was like, oh, I want to be in bands.
Yeah.
But then it turned into me at like 9 years old wanting to learn how to make beats and rap, and that turned into, okay, this is what I want to do as, like, my artistry, I guess.
Right.
Like that, it sort of, like, turned into myself as an artist, and it evolved as me sneaking onto my brother's computer and, like, using his software, and, like, making beats in Acid Pro 2.0. and this is also, like, clearly a very different time, like, in terms of, like, access to production tools, and, like, there wasn't even, like, I even think about, like, I mean, this is nerdy, but the existence of, like, one shots of, like, sound, like a snare drum, a kick drum, like, that existed, but you had to, like, get it on a CD and, like, load it onto your computer. It was, like, hard to get those. Like, you had to, like, really try,
you had to, like, dig.
Or else you were sampling directly from vinyl tape, whatever.
Right.
So I'm 9 years old trying to, like, figure that out. Obviously I didn't really know what I was doing, but I was obsessed with that. Like hip hop music is what, like, really made me want to make my own music.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, fast forward, I was in middle school, like, releasing music on MySpace.
Sure.
And I would go over to a friend's house and record and like make beats and mashups and stuff. And then I'm going through the whole like arc here, but, like, I'm 14 years old. My brother sits me down. He's like, all right, this is Ableton Live. Figure this out. Like, fuck all the other software. Like, this is what you need to learn. And especially at that time, like, Ableton, like, wasn't a cool thing at that. Like, no one thought Ableton was cool. Like, no one was really using Ableton at that time. So, and there also, like, I mean, there were, like, some tutorials and stuff, but it wasn't, like, something you could easily just, like, go on YouTube and, like, learn how to use Ableton. It was, like, Wild West, like, my brother giving it to me, and he's like, all right, just, like, press buttons until you figure something out. And I just became obsessed with it. So like, my freshman year in high school was just, like, every single day just in Ableton, and, like, rapping over my own beats and stuff, and then also when I was 14, that same year, my brother so he was really close with Girl Talk, if you're familiar with that, the mashup guy.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we were actually in a band all together when I was 10 years old. The band was called VIP Blowjobs, but that's a whole other thing. So I was a 10-year-old in a band with all these college kids. It was called VIP Blowjobs. But anyway, I opened for Girl Talk at Webster Hall in New York when I was 14 years old, like sold out show, thousands of people. He like let me open, and this would happen like he basically throughout when I was in high school. Girl Talk would let me open for like random shows of his. And I'm a teenager just like rapping over my own beats at this like giant show, thousands of people.
That's crazy.
And like it's not like I didn't like have any fans or anything, but it was like a wild experience. So I had this I got thrown to the wolves in the best way, and like I mean it was like on some like sort of nepo baby vibes, like just given this crazy opportunity that like I don't know, and yeah, anyway, fast forward, like I was just releasing music. I was obsessed with just like balls to the wall, like I'm just always creating stuff, and I always have been that way. And yeah, it just escalated, and my like senior project in high school was me going on tour. And yeah, literally like I convinced them like, all right, I'm gonna go on like a 3-week like tour as my project. And I got like so like once I started getting involved in the little music scene in Cleveland where I'm from, there were older guys in the scene that I was hanging around, and I basically got my friends through this duo called Smokescreen, also from Cleveland. I got them to like be my advisors for my high school senior project. So like they were my advisors.
That's crazy.
And like we went on tour as my senior project, which was really funny. And we made like a little like tour documentary and stuff. And most of the shows were like no one there, and like where it was like an East Coast tour. I think we did like 10 or 11 shows. I forget how many it was, and it was just a really great experience of just like sleeping on floors and like playing really bad shows, and then like a couple like really fun ones that are like packed, and then I don't know, just like the ups and downs of it all. But doing that really early, and then after that I went to Berkeley after that, and we both went to Berkeley, which is funny. So yeah, and then I don't know, I'm going through this whole journey is crazy. It's still
good.
But yeah, at Berkeley, it's funny because when I got to Berkeley, like I was really self-conscious about the fact that I was just a dude who like makes beats, and like I played instruments and stuff. You have to get in on an instrument. I got in on drums, like so I am like bare minimum level, like I have musical talent enough, at least enough to like get me in there. But I was really self-conscious about like just being a guy who makes beats, and then there's all these like musical prodigy people who are like
they're insane.
So I was like I was always really, really nervous about like sharing that. So I feel like my first year of that, of like being at Berkeley, like I was almost like afraid to even tell people like what I actually do. And I'll just be like, oh yeah, I'm a drummer. Like they're like, oh, what do you play? I'm like, I don't know, funk, jazz, I don't know. And just because I didn't want to tell them, I was like making beats and stuff, which is so dumb. But but anyway, yeah, my friend Luke Spry, who also went to Berkeley, we started a record label while we were at Berkeley. Just like a tiny record label, and we started like signing our friends, and we got a bunch of my friends from back in Cleveland, like the dudes that I went on tour with when I was in high school, like, and we started this like collective, which was really fun. It was like this label collective / like publishing company thing, and then we ended up like stumbling into like sync licensing stuff for like ads and TV. Basically just through us having a library. Like the fact that because we had gotten all our friends together and we had all our music in one big organized library, we didn't even realize how much of a like resource that is, or how like how much of a gold mine that is to have like hundreds of songs just like packaged ready to go.
Sure.
And yeah, we ended up with this relationship with this sync licensing company that was based in Boston while we were at Berkeley, and we ended up basically stumbling our way into having our music in like commercial. We were in like a bunch of like Dunkin' Donuts radio campaigns and like Toyota commercials and stuff, and we were just like oblivious like college kids. We didn't know what the fuck we were doing. But this was the first time we were like, oh wait, like you can actually like do this. Like this is a way. And it was really just like the music we were just making for fun. It wasn't even us like trying to do stuff for ads and TV. It was just like we had a library of music and we lucked out. So anyway, I'm rambling, but that's what podcasts are for. We had this library. We were getting these sync licensing things, and meanwhile, and this whole time I was releasing music myself, and like I was like in the SoundCloud era, like all that, and
2015.
Yeah, and even before that,
really?
like
okay, all right,
like I would say my like SoundCloud peak was like 2013 probably. I mean, I had been posting on there since like 2009. Wow. But yeah.
Were you posting just beats, or were you posting like also your artist stuff as well?
Both. Yeah, both. Okay, and I was. Yeah, so there was like a renaissance period on SoundCloud that was like especially like the beat scene, especially in LA. I wish I was in LA during that time. It would have been sick.
Right.
The like Team Supreme crew, like Mr. Carmack, all of them, like and obviously Selection at that time, like that was such an era, and I wasn't like, I don't know, an important piece of any of that, but I was at least like, I was in some of the Team Supreme mixes. I was around, like I was making friends with like other people in that scene, and it was like a really exciting thing during that time. And like, I don't know, I was still like, nothing like blew up or anything, but it was all like this collective, just like friends having fun making music. It was sick. And anyway, yeah, fast forward, like we had this label. We're trying to make things happen with like zero money and zero idea how to actually do anything the right way, and like and we end up we got invited to, convinced to move to LA to work in this dude's studio, this songwriter who we had met in Boston. His name is Morgan Brown. It was just like this dude we became friends with who just like had a publishing deal, but like the idea of someone having a publishing deal to us was like, what? They're like, they made it. Like this is like this is like the biggest songwriter in the world. So just the idea of like being able to work with somebody who like has any sort of access to the real industry was enough for us to be like, to like drop everything and be like, okay, LA is the move, like let's go. And he just had like this tiny little studio in West LA, and it felt like the biggest thing in the world to us, like
that's awesome.
And then through our work doing the sync licensing stuff in Boston, Luke Spry, my former business partner, ended up getting a job at Universal, and then now he's still there actually. Shout out Luke. And so he's like been working for like Universal's library stuff, sync library stuff, like since we got to LA like 7 years ago.
Wow.
And so I've been working heavily with them that whole time too. And I don't know. And then LA's been a whole journey. Like it's all like, I know I'm super rambling, but it's just been a super long journey. And my time in LA has been like a really crazy ride as well, leading up to, or I guess I'll just lead up to now. So like there were a few years of like when we first got here, Luke, the guy I was mentioning, and I we were sort of production partners as well, and
Okay.
we were working with that guy Morgan Brown, songwriter, and we were just in pop sessions, and I intentionally was like, okay, I'm gonna put my artist stuff aside
Uh-huh.
and like figure out how to make a living as a producer.
Okay.
And
Interesting.
which in hindsight was a mistake. I should have just
Really?
been doing it the whole time. I should have been
Huh.
grinding my artist stuff, but I'm still incredibly grateful for all of the
Why do you
experience.
say that? Why do you say that it was like a mistake in hindsight?
Just because being an artist is such an insane grind that as soon as you take your foot off the gas, like you're gone, you're done.
Yeah.
So the idea that I needed to somehow like make a career as a producer before that
Sure.
was not true at all. Like I should
Yeah.
have just kept my foot on the gas, and then like I could still produce for people on the side. But like
Sure.
if I have this drive to be an artist at all, it's got to be like, if anyone watching,
Yeah.
like if you have the drive to be an artist, like you have to have your foot on the gas the entire time. Like
Sure.
and I know that seems obvious, but like it is extremely relentless. Like the music industry is relentless. Everybody knows this, but also it's relentless in terms of like where your focus is. Like
Mhm.
if you, during that time where I was just trying to do sessions of like, okay, I'm a producer now. Like I'm not even telling people I'm an artist. Like most of the people that I was doing sessions with in my first couple years, like didn't know I was an artist, didn't know that I make hip hop music even.
Wow.
And like, just because I was trying to like be the chameleon to like,
Yeah.
I'll do whatever you want. I will make the pop music. I'll make whatever.
Yeah.
I'll do literally whatever the session calls for. I will do it. And it was really helpful for me. Of course, like technically it made me a way better producer and songwriter, and I learned so much from working with all these people.
Right.
But I think the act of shying away from what I really want to do, that's what was the mistake. Anyway, so there was a turning point in 2019. 2019 was when I was like, when I realized that I was like, okay, I kind of just wasted years here just like
Yeah.
trying to be a producer. And I did successfully, like I started being able to make money as a producer.
Sure.
And that was great. But I wasn't fulfilled because I want to be an artist.
Yeah.
So like there's always that.
I get it.
Yeah, exactly. So 2019 when I was like, okay, I need to figure this out. Like I need to start putting music out again, and I need to like plant the flag, I'm an artist. And that was when I started dipping my toe in the content stuff.
Sure.
Like over the years prior, I had done stuff, but it wasn't like anything real, and it never did well or anything.
Yeah.
2019 was like, okay, people are making their music pop off on social media. How do I do that?
Mm-hmm.
And I was doing these music videos. I would do these 1 minute long songs with 1 minute long music videos
Mm-hmm.
that were like crazy green screen, whatever.
Sure.
And were really fun, and were like kind of the foundation. And they did okay,
Yeah.
but they didn't like super blow up or
Sure,
anything.
sure.
But they were like the foundation for like, okay, dipping my toes in. I was doing content around them,
Mm-hmm.
and it was the setup for what was the following year, the beginning of. Oh wait, actually no, it was a whole other year after that. So and then 2020, I did another. I did a couple other like music videos like that, like
Sure.
just sort of. I had a couple like meme song things too. I did like a Law and Order SVU remix
Okay,
thing
cool.
where I was rapping. Yeah, so that was my first time like going any level of viral. It wasn't like crazy viral, but it was like, okay,
Sure.
there's hundreds of thousands of whatever. Like there's
Right.
there's more people than I've ever reached.
Right.
And so that was like a taste of like, okay, wait, that kind of worked. Like, but how do I do that again?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
what happened?
How do you replicate
And then
that?
yeah.
Yeah.
And then Obviously, I mean, that's COVID. Like, that was the beginning of COVID. I dropped that, like, very beginning. And it was another, like, several months of me just, like, you know, being COVID mode. But then beginning of 2021, that was when I was like, okay, I need to figure this out.
Yeah.
Like, the TikTok boom was already happening. I was seeing people go crazy on TikTok, have their lives changed overnight. I was like, I need to figure this out.
Yeah.
So,
there you go.
and
can't keep away from the keys.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I need to figure this out. So that was when I started the song a day for a year process.
Sure.
And I started that without even having the intention of doing a song a day for a year.
Yeah.
It was just, I posted a video that was like, I need to showcase like myself as, okay, I can play instruments, produce and write and perform, like be an artist, like
right.
an all-around artist. I just like did a video and then I was like, okay, I should be consistent. The next day I did another one. Okay, I should be consistent. I'll do another one. Okay, should be. So then it just like snowballed into doing that for an entire year. I did it, posted the song a day every single day for a year with a video that I was editing every single day.
Sure.
And that was the foundation, and that was definitely the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. But that also, there were a couple that went viral, but it wasn't like, I don't know, it didn't go like life-changing level.
Yeah.
The following year when I finished the song a day and I was like, okay, what the fuck do I do now? That was when I started doing the Steal This Idea stuff, where I play an instrument or whatever and say, here's an idea, do something with it. And then people make their own videos sampling it, or maybe they don't even make a video and they just use it in their song, whatever. That's what started actually going crazy. And then that's the year that like,
wow.
So 2022 was like bonkers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, you know, there were a bunch of other like weird, random viral moments following that, but that was like kind of what led us to today. So I just talked for so long.
that was
long,
great.
but that was like that's like my musical life. That was like the whole journey leading up to now. Pretty
so
much.
You've been doing music your whole life, basically.
Yes. Yeah.
Pretty much. And then you have your brother, obviously, that was doing it like you grew up around it.
Yeah.
Which I think is huge. Like,
yeah.
That's crazy. Okay, so take us back then to the time like when you first started going viral, right? Like, do you think at this point, have you figured out a formula that really works to going viral? Like, obviously there's a lot of different ways that you could, but like you've put out stuff like probably more than most people have ever put out or will ever put out, like on social media, you know? So like, I'm sure you have more of an idea than most people would, have. Is there like a formula that you found, or is there certain things that work? Are there certain things that don't work? Like, what have you seen thus far?
It's weird. Yes and no. Of course, I've had a lot of experience just by posting a lot.
Right.
But also, I feel like any time that I've had anything go viral, I didn't know that would be the one to go.
Really?
And I didn't really know why either. I can't really discern what is gonna be like gonna go crazy at any given point, like which one, like, because I feel like at any time any of them could go, and I don't really know like what makes one go over another. There are definitely there are indicators though, of course. Like the reason why I started the Steal This Idea series was me basically realizing, well, okay, backing up, the song a day stuff came out of me realizing, okay, I need to plant the flag. I'm an artist. If you see me for 2 seconds and you scroll away, you know this guy is a music person. Yeah. Same thing with Steal This Idea. It was get to the point as fast as possible. Right. Like, I'm not making anyone sit through it. Like, you scroll and I'm immediately like in the camera. Here's an idea. Do something with it. Playing the instrument. Right. Immediately. Like, there's no straight cut to the chase. Yeah. And the the platforms all change 1,000 different ways, but I think the one constant is being extremely like direct with like basically like what's the purpose of the video, like what do you why should anybody care and like continue or stop themselves from scrolling away from you.
Sure.
And it's also just like putting yourself in the mindset of somebody who doesn't know you exist, doesn't care, and just being very blunt, like, yeah, why would I stop and watch this guy? Like, about myself. Like,
right.
Yeah, why should anybody care? Like, I get that I've probably, like, how many things have I posted that people have just been like, and they just scroll away.
Yeah.
But if you're able to tap into this, I don't know, there's this weird like cosmic like vulnerability of like of sharing something now because it's on the world stage of like whether or not a bazillion people see it or not, it is like this offering almost. It's like it's almost like spiritual, like showing up and like sharing a piece of yourself in front of what could potentially be millions of people and what could potentially be 0 people is like this weird, like, I don't know. There's this weird, like, spiritual side to it almost. I feel like it's like every single thing you create on there is like a lottery ticket.
Yeah.
And I think after experiencing like a run of like boom, 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 like a bunch hitting.
Sure.
It really screwed up my perception of like what works and what doesn't because of how inconsistent it is. And that's also just that's my experience of it, and there are so many factors to it, but it's just I don't know, it's just a wild ride, and like there's so many factors that you're not in control of. So you're like, you could have the best video in the world and it does terrible, and then you repost it a month later and then a million people see it. Like
have you done that before where it's like it's been like not that great a reception and then you post it again and it just pops off?
There a few times. The best example of this actually was a collab video with, there's this band called Sadakoi that I have a song with. They're my friends.
Okay.
But we did like a goofy like skit video. Yeah. And it was a skit, and then we performed the song at the end of it. And we posted it, and it did okay. Like it didn't do that well.
Sure.
They randomly reposted it like 3-4 months later, and then millions.
You just went, really?
Same video. Not changed at all.
So why do you think that happens?
I don't know. There's just like it's all lottery ticket. Like it's and not to say that you shouldn't try. Like there are specific things and techniques that help you win. Right. But it is really just like you show up and do your best. You do your 1,000 jump shots or whatever, like you're Steph Curry or something in the gym. Like Steph Curry when nobody's around and he's just alone in the gym, just over and over again. Like you have to be that, and it is kind of depressing the way that just like the way that the platforms, like it's just really unforgiving. Yeah. And it can change your life, and it can also just like kill your self-esteem, and that's just what it is. So going in
that's crazy.
Yeah, it's like, have
you fluctuated between the two? Like, because I'm sure sometimes you like put all this time into like making a video and then it doesn't do well, or like you don't think one's gonna do it and it pops off and you're like, what, why?
Yeah I mean, definitely, like it has definitely messed with my head in a lot of ways. And it's definitely, and especially now because I haven't had something go like super viral in like a year plus. Okay. So like that, it starts to like weigh on me. Like, okay, like what am I doing? Like I'm putting an equal amount of effort into my videos. It's not like it's not like I stopped caring about it, but there's so many other factors, and there's also like a momentum to it, and I think there's like a huge thing that is really hard to grasp and figure out, but is one of the best ways to garner an audience on social media is creating the story beyond just a video.
Yeah.
Song a day is like me doing a song a day for a year is I'm the guy doing a song a day for an entire year.
Sure.
What's this guy about? That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's not just like, oh, I like this song.
Right.
This is like, oh, that song's kind of cool. What's up with this guy? Oh, wait, he's doing this for an entire year. That's wild.
Yeah.
Like, it becomes larger than you at that point. And the Steal This Idea thing, it's like me I'm the Steal This Idea guy now.
Right.
Like I'm playing an instrument. Like, it's bigger than just me playing an instrument. It becomes like this story. Like, there's this like mythology around you when you like, I don't know, when you consistently do something.
Yeah.
And that is also the gift and the curse is people get stuck.
Yeah.
And I think that's also part of the difficulty for me is like transitioning. So the Steal This Idea stuff, that's the most viral stuff I had.
Sure.
But I'm not trying to just be like a sample maker producer guy.
Right.
I don't really care about that. It was fun, and I enjoy playing instruments, and I enjoy producing and collaborating with people, but I'm an artist. So being the Steal This Idea guy is different than being Connor Musarra, the artist. So that distinction is really hard to make. Like, it's really hard to make that transition, and I think that's why I haven't had something pop off on that level, is because, or that level in like a year, is I've been trying to refigure out like what is my, well, one, like mentally, what's my relationship with this, because it was like draining, but two, like how do I present myself as like a personality as an artist beyond just the guy who says, here's an idea, do something with it.
Right.
And it's a give and take, because having a bunch of eyes for something is better than having no eyes at all.
Right.
So, but if it's for the wrong thing, then you gotta redirect.
Sure.
And I've also been really careful about, like almost to a fault, about like other things that I've done that have gone viral. Like I have a cookie video that did 7 million views.
Wow.
Like a cookie review.
That's
but
crazy.
I immediately was like, I am never doing a cookie video ever again.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to become the cookie guy.
Yeah.
Like, that's not...
It's not what you signed up for.
Yeah. Like, I enjoy cookies, and I probably should have just, like... You know, I probably should have taken a couple, like, brand deals off of that.
Sure.
And I could have gotten maybe some money, some free cookies real quick.
Sure.
But the idea of being stuck doing that and not doing anything music related as my like brand or whatever was so terrifying that I was like, I'm not touching that ever again.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's also, I don't know, but it's this give and take, because I also know that the times when I was doing the best numbers wise is when I was just doing whatever I felt like. And I was being very specific in like everything was always music related. Yeah. But I was just doing what I felt like that day, and I would have to train myself also, cuz like it's so easy to get in your head, but I would train myself like, even if this isn't good, like that's what I felt today. That's what I felt like doing today. That's where I was at today.
Yeah.
and tomorrow I get another shot.
Sure.
And especially in the song a day stuff, because it's a song a day. I'm making the song, and thousands of people are gonna judge me in an hour when I post this. It's like
That's stressful.
yeah. So that was really stressful. So I had to like really fight myself to just go, that's what I felt like doing. Fuck it, press post. Like, just go, rip the Band-Aid. And there are a lot of those songs I don't like.
Yeah.
And a lot of songs that I thought were trash are the songs that did the best. So it's, I don't know. That's also like, I don't know if it's just me internally, but I just feel like I don't really have that much of a gauge of like what is truly gonna connect. Like, I know what I connect with, but it's really hard for me to have any sort of understanding of like what is it that like what's gonna hit, because there have been a bunch that I like really thought would hit, like videos and song wise, and they didn't. And then there have been a bunch that I really thought were garbage, and they really go. Yeah, so
that's crazy.
I don't know. I mean, it's just a never-ending conversation, and I feel like I'm just now after. So like 2022 was when I was like, that was like viral year for me.
Sure.
And 2023 was like, I had like a couple viral moments, whatever, but mostly that year was like, I'm burnt out. I'm still posting a bit, but I was burnt out because I did a song a day for a year and then Steal This Idea for a year, and I was like, this is exhausting.
Jeez.
And also because it wasn't performing as well, it made it like, oh my God, I'm still showing up for this, and it's like not even doing as well as it did. What am I doing? But now this year I'm finally like, okay, I'm feeling better about it. I'm feeling like I'm having fun doing it again, which is really important. Like the most important thing. It's just such, I don't know. It's all such a mind fuck.
Well, what made you change from like being burnt out to like having fun again doing it? Like, was it a content shift? Was it just like you took a break? You know what I'm saying?
I think it was just a mental shift that that I realized I had to make. Like I have to make sure that my excitement about this continues. Like my excitement to create, period, whatever it is, that's the main thing that has to continue, because everything else is unpredictable.
Sure.
But if I can continue to show up and try my best and whatever I was feeling that day and give that to the world, and whatever happens with it, viral or not, that's the only way that I'm going to be able to sustain. And also just reminding myself, like, I did it 20, 30 times, I could do it again.
Yeah.
But it's hard when you're like in the, I don't know, it's just a mind fuck.
Yeah, it totally is.
Yeah.
It's so unpredictable too. I think that's like a really hard thing to deal with. It's like you're mentally, because like, I don't know about you, but I know for me, like when I signed up for this whole thing, I didn't think like I was going to be a content creator. You know what I mean? Like I thought like I'm a musician.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to be doing.
Yeah.
And that's it. But like that's the landscape has totally changed now, as you know. So like, what do you have to say to like artists? Because there's a lot of artists that just think that they can be like just the artist, not necessarily the one that's going out there and promoting the art. Yeah. Like, how have you seen that change over the last 10 years? Like,
well, I mean, that's the reality, but I would also, I guess my, like, I'm on like sort of both sides of it. Is like, I totally understand like how exhausting and how much of like, I don't know, it just feels like thankless and like really annoying to have to do that every day. Yeah. But I'm also on the other side of like, every single time you make a little video, it's a lottery ticket that can change your life, which is not something we've ever had prior.
True.
So that's like really that's what I've fought within myself too, is if I get one of these videos proper, like if I really figure out this Rubik's Cube of whatever this perfect video is with the perfect combination with my song, like
it could change your life.
Yeah.
In 2 seconds.
So it is totally like there is so much. It is bullshit.
Yeah.
But it's also freeing at the same time, and there's always I think I also would say that I think new artists also underestimate how much work it would have been even if they came out 10 years ago. Like, it's the same. You're still.
It's just different type of
work.
Like,
it would just be different.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
It would still be like relentless work.
Yeah.
It's just a different type of work.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, and then 10 years ago, 10 years ago, it was still like Instagram and stuff. People were still, but
sure.
like, say like pre social media, like you're showing up at every college radio station and like you're getting CDs printed up, whatever. Like, you're doing all of this, like, there's always going to be an insane amount of work, no matter what era you're in, and an insane amount of work to keep eyes and ears on you.
Sure.
So, like, yes, I do think that like social media is exhausting, and I understand why people are like frustrated by it.
Sure.
But it's just what it is now, and same thing, like streaming. It's like, yeah, they like fucked up the industry for sure.
Sure.
But there is another side of it that is we never had access to people this fast.
Yeah.
And like this many people this fast. And it's a gift and a curse. But I think most importantly out of all of this is, no matter what era or context, if you're an artist, you need to be a person who has that like killer energy of like, look at me right now.
Yeah.
Everybody look at me.
Uh-huh.
No, you always like, you have to draw attention to yourself.
Sure.
Always. And you always have to like, you have to have this like, you have to have that drive, and not everybody has that drive, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Or some people it's difficult to pull it out of them, but it's really just like the willingness to be judged is like
interesting.
Acceptance, like accepting whatever anybody is thinking or saying.
Yeah.
And that's a really difficult thing. And social media is actually the perfect way to test your tolerance of that.
Yep.
Because it's going to test your tolerance.
Yeah, for sure.
And it'll do it fast.
Yeah.
And I always joked about like every time, so like my first several times going viral, like that was I was like, why is like every time I go viral like the worst day of my life? Like like the actual day that it happens was like usually miserable.
Really? Just
because of like how much energy is just like all like in your face, and how much negative energy is also in your face. Like no matter how much positive blah blah blah, like even people who think it's funny or they like the video or whatever it is, there is inevitably so much negative energy,
right?
Just because that exists in the world that is directed to you for that moment. And
jeez, so how do you deal with that, like in those moments? Because we all get those comments. There's like, you suck. Like,
Yeah.
you know, just never make music again. Like, what do you do? Do you just don't care? You just forget about it, or like, has it touched you?
I mean,
Has it...
of course, like it affects me. Of course, like it's tough.
Yeah.
But it's also, once again, it's like a test for, like, you really want to do this? Like,
Yeah.
you really want millions of people to listen to your music? Like, welcome to another million of people who hate you.
Yeah.
Like, that, whatever. Like, that's what it is.
Kind of comes with the territory.
Yeah, it comes with the territory, and I mean, the difference is, of course, now there's access for any stupid person with a phone to yell at you, which was not usually the case. But like I was saying, you have to be willing to surrender to whatever comes.
Yeah.
Like in like a Zen way. Like
right.
like you are by like sharing your art with the world, it's like this like spiritual thing like that and you are inviting all energy to you, including negativity.
Interesting.
So like and you have to just like let it fucking roll off of you. And I say that as a person who like doesn't let it roll off of me that much, like it makes me really mad, and I roast people and like whatever, like and
so
it's
crazy.
I have fun with it, but that has also gotten me in trouble and stuff. And like,
so what do you do now? Do you just not say anything, or do you still roast, or like?
I still roast people, but I also like.
So funny.
I also kick myself because me roasting people in the comments on Instagram actually like fucked my account over.
Oh really?
Because they started reporting me for bullying when I would respond to them.
Yeah,
that, like, I would probably have double or triple the amount of followers I have on Instagram if
like
that didn't happen. Yeah, because there was, I got like flagged as like a whatever, like a account who like harasses people or whatever.
Sure.
So like the day that I got that second flag, like you can see my shit.
Off.
They started just like purging followers, not showing me on the explore page, like everything.
Yeah.
I was mad at myself just because that's such a stupid reason to like getting flagged for like roasting people was such a stupid. Yeah, like it was so dumb, and I totally didn't have to do any of that, and it messed up my growth.
Yeah.
For sure. But also like whatever, it is what it is. Now the like strikes on my account are finally off. Okay. They last a year, which is
really?
So stupid. A whole year.
Wow.
So it was like, people were sending me screenshots of like them getting like warnings about my account. Like they would, if they go to DM me, it would be like a warning about like crazy, and like people's accounts like automatically unfollowing me and stuff, like crazy stuff.
So they basically shadow ban you.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like, the term shadow ban is like so like,
you? Like accounts are unfollowing you. That's crazy.
Yeah, like their accounts were automatically unfollowed. I don't know. I mean, I don't have like any substantial evidence, but like I literally had multiple people be like,
wow,
like I definitely didn't press the unfollow button. They were DMing me like I did not press the unfollow button, and they're sending me screenshots. Like, I don't know, and I still to this day, like when I respond to like a random DM, I get a notification that says like, keep our community safe, blah, blah, like please be nice, no harassment, bullying, whatever. Like,
sure.
I still get these notifications. It's crazy. So,
wow.
It's such a dumb thing. Like, it's so dumb just because I shouldn't have been responding to these people.
Yeah.
But, that screwed me over, and it makes me so mad that I did that. But anyway, I mean, it is what it is. Like, I still amassed enough of a following, but I have to like, there's also an interesting thing. Like so once you have more followers and your engagement gets lower, it is like this catch-22 where because your engagement is lower, it's only serving to a smaller portion, and then like that like snowballs into like less and less because relative to your number of followers, now it's like a smaller and smaller percentage.
Right.
So then it's like harder and harder to fight back to it because of course they're not serving it to your actual all of your followers,
right,
which is so dumb, especially TikTok.
I know.
Yeah.
It's so stupid.
Yeah, like they don't serve it to your actual followers.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's dumb. I mean, there's so many like little things to complain about, but the most important thing is like tapping back into creating whatever you truly want.
Yep.
Outside of the stupid social media numbers and whatever.
For sure.
Which is the hardest part.
Yeah. I think it helps when you start to remember like why you did it in the first place. Like, why am I making music? You know, like,
yeah,
you do it because you love it. So like if you tap back into that love, like all the other stuff starts to not matter as much, I feel like.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's also hard because it's like that's part of your livelihood. It's like getting big on social media. You have to have people follow you, and like,
yeah,
I know that it's a weird situation. Oh, it's also a weird situation. It's like a weird dichotomy of like being an artist, because it's like, as an artist, I would say most artists are more sensitive, or like they feel a little bit more than general, and yet we're having to put our art out on this big platform to the world to be judged. It's this weird dichotomy that like really is interesting. And sometimes it's beautiful because there's some people who just absolutely love what you do, but then there's people that just won't, which is totally normal. And I also understand it because like art is subjective. But I think the things that I don't like personally is like the ones that have nothing to do with them like distasting like or like not liking your art, but just like hating your art for no reason whatsoever. You know, like it's not like, hey, well, this could be better, and I don't like this kick, or I don't like whatever. Yeah. It's just like, you suck. Like, you know, like, it's just funny how that works. You know. Yeah,
those are the most fun people to roast
for sure.
But it's also, I think the other thing, like I was saying before, is like putting myself into the mindset of someone who doesn't know I exist or care I exist. Like, I understand why somebody would think I'm annoying on the internet.
For sure.
Like, and I've also had people who people have told me like, yo, I thought you were super annoying when I first saw you, but like actually you're cool. And like those I also look at it as like, okay, I always have the opportunity to like win people back. Sure. And I think about that with existing artists that like I wasn't initially a fan of, and then I become a fan of them later by them continuing. Like if they would have stopped, I would have still not liked them. But if they continue, you know, it's the same thing. Like being annoying on the internet is not that big of a deal ultimately. Right. And it's most likely going to be forgotten. Yeah. In a good way, where like your mistakes are almost certainly just gonna be gone in the wash. Like no one's gonna remember, and then your wins, you know, you could go down in history. Or whatever. For sure.
I think it's kind of crazy too. Like I've been watching some of your more recent content, and a lot of the way that you're doing the content now is like, it's so funny in like the most dry humor way like possible. Like I love it. It's hilarious. It's like, but it's almost like you don't even know if you're being serious or not. But then like you watch it and you're like, oh my gosh, that's actually so funny. I don't know how did you come up with that whole idea of content like in that area, in that lane? Because is that just kind of like based on your personality of like what you think's funny? Because I assume that's kind of what it was, right?
Yeah, I would say, well, one like benefit that I have, I guess, is that I already don't really take myself that seriously. Okay. So like, I mean, I guess like I take my craft very seriously. Like I take music very seriously, and I clearly I did a song a day for an entire year. I'm very serious about this, but like, but like I enjoy making dumb jokes and making fun of myself, and like I enjoy messing with people also, which is something. These are kind of things that help you in the social media space too. And I have the benefit of like, that's something I enjoy doing, which is also a plus of, I think that's something to explore too, is like, there are things that inherently work on social media.
Yeah.
And then there are things that you personally like or are excited by.
Yeah.
There is a Venn diagram, a crossover of those two things. It's a matter of finding what that crossover is.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be different for everyone.
Sure.
Not everyone needs to make weird jokes or like troll Elon Musk or like whatever, like stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's this like middle ground between the things that really work and the things that you're really excited by. So that is, and it's just trial and error. But the like comedy stuff for me is like, I don't know, it's just fun and I'm
hilarious.
And I think it's also me like swaying back towards like when I was first doing social media stuff, it was pretty much all like comedy stuff. It was still like music related, but it was like me trying to be funny in a music related context. Right. And the Song a Day stuff was me trying to be taken more seriously.
Sure.
And because there were also periods where people didn't even know that I was a musician, and they were just like, "Oh, are you a comedian? Like you do these like goofy videos?" That was also one of the things that made me do the Song a Day thing, is because I was like, "Oh, they think I'm a comedian? Like I can't have that. Like I'm not. Right. I appreciate that they think it's funny, but like I'm not a comedian. Like I'm not trying to be a comedian. So." Yeah, it's this give and take, and now where I'm at is I'm just trying to have fun and like not be overthinking it and find that middle space where I can be goofing around but also directing people to my music.
Sure. I get it. That's crazy. So do people really call you Russ's dad? I saw your post.
Yeah, I have seen people do that. Yeah, many times. People have made a lot of Russ related jokes, and there's always funny stuff. Yeah, because obviously it's like I have long hair and I have gray hair. Yeah. So it's like, oh, Russ, but old. Yeah. So, yeah, it's funny. It's also funny because Russ is older than me. Yeah. But, I don't know. I'm just like...
That's so funny, though.
I go in the direction of, like... Or I guess, like... Anything that people, like, come at me about, like, I go directly towards it.
Just towards it.
I go towards it.
Yeah.
Because... I'm not afraid of these stupid people on the internet. Like I'm gonna.
Right.
Okay, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's make a Russ's dad joke. Sure, I don't care. Like.
Well, I love how you.
Go ahead. Like.
I love how you make fun of it. Like, Like you like embrace it.
Yeah. But whatever.
It reminds me of like 8 Mile with Eminem, right? When
He's
like making fun of himself, but then the guy has nothing left to make fun of him about because he's already made fun of everything, you know?
Yeah.
So I thought that was so funny, not because I'm like, oh, well, yeah, he looks like Russ Dad, but just because like you were making fun of what they were making fun of in a funny way, and it just kind of totally disarmed them. Yeah. Like, and honestly, I didn't even take it as like that you're making fun of what other people were making fun of. I just thought it was you were just making a funny joke, like a self-deprecating joke. Yeah. And I was like, wow, that actually is hilarious. Like, you know, like I like this guy, like pretty much. So I think in a weird way, it makes people like you more just because it's like you're okay with being like funny about yourself. Like, you know, like I've noticed that too. Like the times where I'm just like I make fun of jokes, like even with my wife, like she'll make fun of me or whatever, and so now I just make fun of myself before she makes fun of me, and we get a big laugh out of it. Yeah, it's a fun time, you know. So that's cool. So where do you see yourself like going forward, like in the next, let's just say like the next like couple years? Like what are your goals as an artist in this next 2 to 5 years? What'd you say?
My goals are 1, tour.
Okay. Yep.
2, I want to release multiple more albums that I want to find, so I've had like my Mercury song that's like, that did okay.
Yeah.
Kind of had like mini viral moment. I want to find like the song that is gonna surpass that.
Yes.
That's also like, that's a huge goal of mine. It's like having a song that's like,
it's like
actual successful.
For sure.
And because Mercury is like, I feel like Mercury is kind of like underground hit vibes, where it's like,
it's a great song, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyway, yeah, I'm just trying to find like, I want to make a hit song.
Yeah.
It sounds stupid, but I mean, it sounds like obvious. Like, yeah, no shit, you want to make a hit song, but like, my goal is to like find that. What is in the same way I was talking about the Venn diagram? It's like, what is the Venn diagram of like, what makes a hit song? What am I about? Yeah. Where is the Venn diagram? Where's the crossover there? Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm trying to find. Okay. And finding, I guess like the presentation of me as a personality and like being the guy with gray hair and a beard rapping. Sure. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, it's really, a huge goal is touring for sure. Okay. Because I've done many shows in my life. Sure. But I went on tour the one time in high school, but I haven't done like a proper tour. I want to like open for a bigger artist. Yes. And just like get my ass kicked. Yeah. Cut my teeth a little more. Uh-huh. And kind of go back a little bit in terms of like, let me get some organic fan growth. Yes. I've done all the social media stuff. Sure. Like, I'm going to continue to do that. But let me go... That in-person... real life growth. Yeah. Figure that out. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, that's huge. I think that's really good. You've mastered what most people can't, though, which is cool, I think, because of the social media stuff you got going on. It's crazy. So do you want to talk, before we finish up, do you want to talk plugins for a little bit, just to get a little bit nerdy? Plugins, yeah, sure. Plugins. Yeah. Okay, so if you had to pick your top 3 plugins right now, what would they be? I mean, Ozone 11, just because it makes my life so much easier. Uh-huh. It does everybody's, I swear. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I use that like AI assistant on there like all the time now. Yeah. It's just so nice to just like, okay, it's gonna sound solid. Yeah. Okay. Native Instruments Driver. Okay. Distortion plugin. That one is good. That's my favorite distortion plugin. Really? Period. Okay. Love that one. And probably. Damn, I'm trying to think. Probably just like the I don't know, Waves Tune Real Time. Okay, yeah, give them. Because I used that instead of Auto-Tune. Sure. I initially got it just because it was cheap. Yeah. It does the same thing. $29. And then I was but I actually like it more than Auto-Tune. Really? Now. How come? What about I don't know. I just like, I mean, it's also just because I'm so used to using the settings and everything. Sure. But there's something about it that, I mean, it's just like so ingrained in like my vocal chain now. It's like, it's so locked in for me that it's like, I just love it. Yeah. It's a great plugin. It's funny. I was just talking to my buddy. He's like, I use Waves tune as well, like more than Auto-Tune. Like, and I was like, wow, really? That's crazy. So like, I've noticed a lot of people are like switching over to that, which is interesting. Hell yeah. So what's your favorite plugin in Ableton Live? If you had to pick one, let's say you had to pick one plugin, Desert Island, that's the one plugin you got. What is it from Ableton? Like a stock, their stock plugins? Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, I love their like delay plugin. I just love it. I also love, probably their delay. I mean, I use their delay. I don't use any like VST delays or anything. I just use like stock. And reverb too.
Yeah.
I pretty much just use stock.
Well, Ableton's stock plugins are really good. A lot of people like think like a lot of people don't really like hate on Ableton stock plugins. I've noticed like that's pretty good, but you know, like in other DAWs, like people are like, oh, I don't want any stock plugins, but like I feel like if you can master the stock plugins, you can master like the third party plugins, like
totally,
you know. And so it's like it's an interesting situation. I think it's like really key if you can just nail those stock plugins, you're gonna be good. Let's say if you had to pick one EQ plugin, what would you pick?
EQ8.
EQ8? Okay. Yeah. See? Proves the point right there.
Yeah, but that's like the one I use on everything all the time.
Yeah.
But Pro Q3 Fab Filter, like, amazing. But that's also like, I can only use that if it's like, if I really need it and I need something like real nice or real precise or whatever. Like I'm trying to be, I don't know, but like in general, EQ8
can get, it's just like anything done, like super quick. Like I even have it saved on my, like, you know how like when you have a new audio track, I have that and I have like a utility just saved in the tuner on every single audio track, because it's like I use this every single time, you know. The utility is great with the mono function, and then you can like change the volume with the automation instead of changing your automation or your actual volume, you know, which is huge. I think I used to always change the automation with the volume, and it would mess me up when I came to mixing, and I was like mixing it, but like it still would go back and up, you know, up and forth or back and forth. So that's a huge one. I love that. What would you say is your favorite, like do you use any soft clipping or anything like on your like your mix bus where it's like it just makes things hit harder, like maybe saturation or anything like that?
The Native Instruments driver.
The driver
one, yeah.
Okay.
I use that. It depends. I use it in different ways, but I will group certain sections of the mix into that. Sometimes all of it. Sometimes the entire thing is going through, but usually it's like it depends on like it depends on what's happening. But like for instance, if I'm definitely like all of the drums, and then maybe some of the, well, I guess it's completely depends, but like whatever sounds and instruments I want to like interact with each other and like breathe with each other. I group them together and like get that driver like kind of slamming on them, and like it does this weird like.
I'm gonna have to try that because I've never used that on a bus, like on like a mix bus. Like
it does very interesting. This is also like a kind of like secret sauce. It makes. Like it's destructive, like it's gonna, you know, it's distorting everything, like it's going to like fuck certain things up, but like that's why I like it. It's like it makes certain things like duck. It does like weird stuff. But that's why I like it. Yeah, that makes total sense. Sometimes like those like what I like to do is I'll take plugins that are not meant for like what I'm going to be using them for. And I just use them in different ways, and then it'll be like, whoa, this is like totally, I don't even know what it's doing. I don't know why it's doing what it's doing, but it sounds like really cool. So I'm like, all right, let's just keep this, you know. So I think that's cool. I never thought to put like a hard clipper, like a distortion on my master bus. Like that's really interesting. And this also just comes like because I was just like basically on Ableton Island as a child, just fucking around and trying to figure it out. Like I did a lot of things wrong, on purpose, just because it sounded cool to me. So that. But
is that really wrong?
Well, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, probably not.
Yeah, so that, like, it's funny because I had already, like, I went to Berkeley and was doing, like, electronic production and design there, and, like, it's obviously, they have, like, you do Ableton there. But I had already been, like, using Ableton in a completely different way for years prior to that. So it was a lot of, like, recontextualizing a lot of the way that I use it. But that, I mean, that's what's so cool about Ableton is like everyone uses it differently as opposed to every other software where everyone uses exactly the same.
Pro Tools. So what's your vocal chain?
It's really basic. I have a stock Ableton gate
Yeah.
into Waves Tune Real Time, into EQ8 that is just rolling off the lows and boosting some of the highs, like nothing crazy. Into I'm trying to picture.
It's okay.
Into compressor after that.
Okay.
And I'm like kind of slamming it.
Yeah.
With a fast attack, and then I sometimes add a Pro Q3 as like another EQ after I've EQ'd and compressed after. I add another EQ sometimes. And then after that I add the Waves de-esser after it.
Yeah.
Even though people have like, when I've talked about this, they're like, oh, you're already boosting the highs. Why is your de-esser, like, why are you even bothering boosting the highs and then having a de-esser at the end? But I'm intentionally like, I want the de-esser to like slam the hard highs on purpose, and then have the like, I don't know, textural highs.
They're still there.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is good, right? Yeah.
So I actually like that it's
sure
that it's kind of that the de-esser is kind of slamming the like I'm slamming this. It's kind of slamming the like extra sibilance and highs and stuff. Anyway, that's my chain. And then I usually have disabled, but if I need it, I will have a stock Ableton delay on the track.
Okay.
And I'll use that very often just as like a little slap delay.
Sure.
Just like a tiny bit. I've got like 5-10% on. Yeah. Just like on the track.
Yep.
I love to have that.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. So what mic are you using then in the beginning, like when you're recording?
The AKG C414.
Oh, I love that one.
Yeah.
That was my first, well, not my first, but my first major one.
Yeah.
That thing sounds good on anything.
Yeah, that's why I love it. And yeah, because it's definitely like, I feel like it's the best like medium price range one that's just like, that you can just put it on whatever, any instrument, any vocal, whatever, it's going to sound solid. Yeah. And it's also, and then I put the Chaotica eyeball on it, which is like...
Oh, really? Does that help?
It helps because, like, I know that thing is like a ripoff, but it helps also because of how bright the 414 is. So it like...
Probably mutes it a bit, right?
Yeah, it like helps like dampen it a tiny bit. And and then I just go straight into my Apollo. And
is it a twin, Apollo twin?
No, it's a 8. It's not.
Oh, it's the 8 one.
The X8 or I forget which.
So you got the big one.
I got the rack.
Yep, the rack
mounted one.
Okay, cool.
Because I run like live drums and everything in there. So.
Sure. The going straight into the Apollos it sounds so good. Like I got my twin over here, and I just record like I got, I have rack gear, but like if I'm like mobile, I'll record right into the twin. I think I even Lewis Bell, so he was talking about Post Malone. He just goes directly into the twin, which is like crazy. Yeah. Which you think like, oh no, they got to go through like a Neve and like a like a CL1B, like how everyone usually does, but like no, he's just going straight into that Apollo, and it sounds great. Yeah. But that's obviously also, he's got a great engineer too. So, but man, is there anything else that you wanted to talk about or discuss, like before we wrap it up? Or, I mean, is there
Attempt 4 album out now. Okay. Yeah. That's it.
And where can the people find you? Like on social media, like what's your handles?
At Connor Musarra.
Okay.
ConnorMusarra.
Perfect. And I like to end the show just kind of with one question, just about advice. So if you had to give advice for a future artist, like one that's coming up, let's just say now they decide I want to be an artist, what advice would you give them, and how would you advise them to kind of manage the industry at this point of where it's at?
My advice would be don't wait for approval or like any sort of outside feedback. Just create with reckless abandon. Just like create. Any artist that is looking to build a long-term career and life in the music industry and being an artist, the most important part is tapping into that like creative resource that is really scary to share. And the more that you can practice tapping into the scary part, the easier it'll be, and the easier it'll be when the pressure's on.
Yeah.
Like, you have to test yourself in the same way, like with a sport or something.
Right.
It's different when the lights are brighter and there's more people there. It just changes. It's just different.
Yeah.
So it should be treated the same way with your artistry.
Sure.
And there will come a time when it gets more stressful than it is when you're just alone in your room.
Yeah.
So putting yourself through those tests is really important.
Right.
And don't listen to people who are in the music industry who aren't musicians, for the most part. At least on creative decisions.
Yeah.
In terms of like business stuff, sure. But don't let them inform your creative decisions at all.
Right.
That's my advice.
Okay. Amazing. Well, thank you so much, man, for coming out here and doing this. I know you kind of came far, so I think it helps a lot of people, and it's super cool to hear your story too, because obviously we know each other, but not like super well.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like really cool to like really get to know like the history, man. It goes way. I didn't know it went way back since you were a kid. That's crazy. And then I didn't know you went to Berkeley too. So like,
Berkeley gang. Yeah.
Yeah. There we go, man.
Hell yeah.
But yeah. Thank you so much. Thanks, guys, for listening. This was the Slaya podcast, and until next time, we'll see you then. Peace out.
Thanks. Peace.